Last December, I had a leak in my flat. Literally hours before I was due to leave the airport to go away for Christmas, water started bubbling up between the floorboards in my hall. So I panicked, pulled up the floorboards, pulled the side off the bath, and I found that my bath was an inch deep in water. Fast forward several weeks to when the Housing Association finally managed to send someone out to take a look. And they send out a surveyor. And this guy tells me that my neighbour has illegally erected some kind of structure on her balcony that's caused some kind of damage, and that's why there's a leak in my flat. So the actual details of this are a bit hazy to me, but I'm a software developer, I'm not a surveyor, so there's no reason I should understand this. Fine. So they tell me what they're going to do to fix it, they tell me they've done it, and I get on with my life. But the day the guy from the insurance company comes round to measure up my flat to repair the damage, it rains, and water starts bubbling up between the floorboards again. They haven't fixed the leak. So, okay, several weeks later, they send someone else out to take a look. And this time, they take a builder. But this guy really doesn't understand how the flats fit together. Like, he doesn't understand how my neighbour's balcony could be causing damage in my flat. I have to take him outside and show him, this is my flat, show him how my neighbour's balcony comes in the side. And it's at this point that I realise that this is just like a software project. When you have a bug in a piece of software, you really need a view of the bigger picture of how it all fits together if you're going to diagnose it. Okay, so then they tell me that what they're going to do this time is they're going to install something called flashing, which is like a waterproofing thing, and on my neighbour's balcony. So I'm like, fine, but this is a software project now. I want them to test it. So then they send around the roofer. And the roofer is a true software developer. He takes me up to my neighbour's balcony, and he explains to me how the balcony works, how the drainage works, etc., and what he's going to do to find out what the problem is. So when it rains, there's a slide coming up, the water goes down this gully. There you go, right. So the water goes down that gully, down the drain, and there's a gap there so that if the balcony floods, overflows, and it goes down the side of my wall. So what he's going to do is he's going to hose down on the flashing and see what happens. And then after that, he's going to hose down the side of the wall to simulate what would happen if the balcony did overflow. So this is great. This guy is speaking my language, right? He's isolating the components. We don't make a change in the code and configuration at the same time. We test the code, we test the configuration, so we can ensure the components work separately. Okay, great. This is isolating the components. Okay, So first of all, he hoses down on the flashing. And the first problem comes up straight away. The balcony floods because the drain is blocked. Now, you might think that a blocked drain is a pretty obvious thing to look for when you're investigating a leak. But that's why we do testing, to surface the obvious, to expose the assumptions we've made about what's been done and what hasn't been done. Okay, so then he's done that, so he hoses down the side of the building to see what would happen when the balcony does overflow. And at this point, water starts coming into my flat. So he looks closer at the wall, and he sees this hole. No, this hole. So what happens is, when it rains, the balcony floods immediately because the drain's blocked. It goes over the gap, overflows down the side of my wall, into that hole, and out from there into the flat. So he unblocks the drain, and he cements over the hole. And basically, because of his brilliant software development approach, I feel confident that he's fixed the problem. So what did I learn from this? Basically, apart from the fact that everything should be more like a software project. The main thing I learned was don't be afraid of things that are outside the sphere of your experience. The reason the stories the surveyor told me, mystery structure, ... leak in my flat, the reason that didn't make sense to me is not because I'm not a surveyor, it's because it didn't make sense. So, you have logic in your job, like we see in firefighting. You can apply what you know to other areas. And the other thing that this whole saga made me think was, we have this idea in software about software craftsmanship, being an apprentice, being a journeyman, becoming a master craftsman, improving our craft. And this whole thing made me think that maybe, instead of software craftsmanship, we should think about craftsman softwareship. Thank you.